Hi guys and gals, Froggy here. This is my 2012 Lexus RX350, my wife's commuter car, and I'm going to do an oil change on it today. I'm going to show you guys and gals how to do an oil change. Actually, I looked under there for the drain plug and the filter that has to be changed, and I could probably do this without putting it up on ramps, but I'm going to put it up on ramps for you just so that I can use the camera a little bit better to show you the whole procedure. So let's get it on ramps. Well, I can't really show you exactly how to drive a car up on ramps. I guess one of these days I'll have to get an assistant and actually do a whole video on that. But be careful. If you don't know what you're doing, then don't do it. I want to show you something important here. I've seen a few videos on the internet that show a car like this up on ramps doing an oil change. Froggy doesn't want you to do that. You know why? Because the car is tipped, and when it's tipped, all the oil is towards one end of the oil pan or the other end. I like to put it up level, but actually let's take a look at where the drain plug is on this car. It might work on this car depending if they put the drain plug on the front or the back or the side. It could be in any of those locations. Well, as it would happen, the plug is actually on the rear of the oil pan. That's the rear of the car going that way. So this car is tilted, but it's going to be okay. Now, just as a word of advice, there are some other cars where the drain plug would be on the side of the pan or even on the front of the pan. And if it was on the front of the pan, you obviously would not want to have the car tilted this way, because there'd be a bunch of oil trapped back here that you'd never get out if it was on the front of the pan. But we're good to go here. There is the drain plug and there is the oil filter. So let's get started. Pop your hood, and there's another release right there, so you've got to reach up on that one. Well, let's see if I can show you. I'll do my two-handed. There, it's up like that. Okay? There's your dipstick right here in the front. Pull it up a little bit. Let some air into the system as you drain from the bottom. And here's where you're going to put the new oil in. Now it calls for 020, and in the owner's manual it also says you can use 520 in a pinch. 520, that would be for warm parts of the country, like Southern California where I am, or Arizona or Texas, in the parts of those states where it doesn't get cold in the winter, or Florida. You could use 520. Might even be better to use 520. Let's see what I got today. Yeah, I found some 020, and that's Pennzoil Platinum. That's a really good oil. It calls for a little over 6 quarts, so I have one extra one. That's Mobile One 1030. And you're saying, wait a minute, can you mix oil? Absolutely. They're both full synthetic oils, and most of it's going to be 020, and then I've got a little 1030 that I had on hand. So that's going to be fine. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. It's okay to mix those oils. You can actually even mix a non-synthetic oil and a synthetic oil. They do that, and they call it semi-synthetic, and they sell it that way. So the main thing is to make sure you've got the right weight oil for the majority of the oil, and that, as I said, that could be 020 or 520 where I live. If you live in Fargo, you better go with the 020. Don't put the 520 in there. Maybe in the summer if you wanted to, but I'd just go with the 020. There's 14mm socket on that to loosen it up, and we're going to position our pan to catch the oil, and I'm just going to let that plug drop in there. I'm not going to try and catch it or anything, because that's how you get oil all running up and down your hands and arms. Just let it drop. Just spin it out and let it drop. Yeah, maybe I can show you. There you go. Nice. Didn't even get anywhere. That oil doesn't look too bad, actually, but we're going to do 5,000 mile oil change intervals on this car, because we're probably going to keep it for a long time, and then one of my kids is going to get it. So I'm going to go full synthetic and 5,000 mile oil changes, and I will tell you right now, that's probably more often than I need to do it, but it doesn't hurt anything, so that's what I'm going to do. And I do my own oil changes, so it doesn't cost me that much. The difference in price between a non-synthetic oil and synthetic oil, if you get it in those bulk containers on sale, it's like $5 difference. So there you go. Your choice. You decide. You let this continue draining until it gets down to a drip. When it's just a drip, 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 then I figure it's drained enough. Now we're going to move on to the oil filter right there. Your oil filter should have come with this little drain tool. It's a disposable one. I guess you could keep one handy in case your filter doesn't come with one. My filter came with one. And this tool, you just shove it up in there once you remove this center part, and then it lets you drain the oil out of the filter before you remove the filter, which thank you, Lexus, that's a very nice idea. So to remove this, the first part of the filter, well, I'll call it the filter drain plug. Basically that's what it is. Just use your 3/8 drive. I put an extension on it so I could swing my wrench, and just turn that. Yeah, frog, you got it. And that's got an O-ring in there, and it's got like a little valve in there, so it shouldn't drip very much oil until I put the drain plug in there. I'm gonna have to move my bucket, and I might be able to move it so I can catch the drips that are left there. See, it's still dripping a little bit, and catch the oil filter. Let's see if my bucket is big enough to do that. Yeah, I think it is. So, yeah, sorry for the lighting on this, but I'm under the car, so. And this one, I don't think it's going to gush out, so I'm going to actually catch the. Yeah, see, it's got a little bit of a drip, but not too bad at all. Now I'll take this and. Ooh, that's hot. Put it over on a little shelf there in my bucket. Now we should be able to shove this up in there and it'll just drain, right? Let's find out. Now, okay, it'll work, but I'm gonna need two hands, I think, to shove it up in there and make it stick. So give me a second. Okay, I shoved it up in there. Actually, I dropped it in the bucket, so I had to go fishing for it with my hands, and then I used two hands and I shoved it up in there, and now it is draining the filter. And my main drain plug on the pan is down to drips now, so I'm going to put my my plug back in there. Make sure that you've got a washer on there. I'll see if I can give you a close-up on that. There you can see the washer. I'm going to reuse this one just because I haven't had time to go and buy some new ones. As long as it's in good shape, you can reuse them. Or they sell like a 10-pack or a 5-pack of them at Toyota for a couple of bucks. So you might want to get some too, because this could get damaged going on and off. But make sure you have a washer. And let me show you the way I got this out of my oil. This is the one I let drop in there. It was just with a little magnet like that, so you don't have to get your hands dirty. So we are down to the drips here. As I said, when it starts going little single drips, that's good enough for Froggy. I'm gonna put that back in there. Just start it by hand. There's probably a torque spec on this, which I don't know. I just put it up hand tight with a not hand tight, no, with a wrench, a socket wrench, and it's probably 12 or 14 foot-pounds, maybe, not very much. And if you're really concerned about that, look it up. And I'll show you how tight I'm putting it. See, I've got a pretty long ratchet on there. And remember, it's a fiber washer, it's not a metal washer, so there, that's what I'm doing. That's just from years of experience. Wipe it off good so you can check it for leaks later on. And now let's get to this filter. Give that a little wipe. We'll take this drain. Now see that little O-ring right there? You're going to replace that with a new one. And there's another big O-ring inside you're going to replace also, but I'm showing you where that goes. Right inside that lip. I put it back in there just to show you where it's going inside that lip. I'll tell you a funny story. When I went and got this replacement filter, I went to the Napa store, and they have like, you know, good, better, best. They have different qualities of the filters. Silver, gold, platinum, I think, and then this one was commercial grade. Now, I opened up the gold one. All they had was the commercial and the gold one didn't come with any new O-rings, the two new O-rings. And this commercial one that I got, I'll show you, two new O-rings. So this is not a spin-on filter, this is a cartridge type filter. And I looked at the gold filter and I looked at this one, and they really had about the same number of pleats, and the material looked like the same too. And one was $10 and one was $5. So mainly I went with this one. This is the $5 one because it had the new O-rings. So that's your choice. But if you wanted new O-rings and you wanted the gold one, you're going to have to go to Toyota and buy these O-rings, because they don't come in with the gold filter. Well, what do you think of that? I thought it was kind of screwy, but that's how they do it. Now this is a set of universal oil filter removing things. They're not exact fit. They're kind of a general fit. And that smallest one that I've got there is going to get this one off. You can buy a specialized size tool. It's probably cost you 10 or 20 bucks, something like that, but I got all these for about $5 at Harbor Freight, so I thought it was a pretty good deal. Let's get that cartridge housing off. Okay, Froggy's back. I had to go get this tool, which is supposedly, quote, the official tool, which is basically the same thing as the one I was using, except the one I was using was just actually 1 or 2 millimeters too big, and it was starting to slip on the adapter. So I went and got this one. I'm going to try getting off with this one. I think also part of the problem is the last guy who put it on there just put it on a little bit too tight. So let's see if we can get it off with this one. Well, I actually had to use a breaker bar to get it off. So whoever put that on last time, give me a break. It was just way too tight. I'm putting a newspaper down because there's going to be some drips once this comes off, even though we've drained most of the filter. Alright, that's what it looks like when it comes out as. I checked it to see if the O-ring had got twisted or something. Maybe that was why it was coming off hard, but no, O-ring was fine. And there wasn't any leaks, so there it is. Also, I went and got that other tool, that one there. I got it at a Toyota dealer. Lexus doesn't sell the tool because I guess most people who own Lexus don't work on their own vehicles. But I asked them about the filter for this Lexus truck, and they do sell a filter, original equipment filter, and it's like $5, includes the O-rings and so on. So I'll probably get their filter next time instead of getting this Wix one. They're both good. OEM filters are usually quite good. So let's take this filter out, put the new one in, new O-rings, 2 new O-rings, and then we screw it back up there. There's the old filter and the new filter side by side. They do appear to be both of good quality, and there is no top or bottom if you're wondering about that. They're the same on both ends. So let's put this one on like that. And here's a good tool to get the O-ring out, and I'm going to put the 2 new O-rings on. You just take it like that. I'm going to need 2 hands, but just stretch it off. Let me get 2 hands on it. In case you were wondering about the parts on your Lexus, it does say Toyota on this oil filter housing. Okay, I'm going to screw it back up there. I'm not going to tighten it up as much as the last guy did. And then we'll put the other piece in there and tighten that up too and fill it up with oil. You know, I'm going to tell you something, and this is just Froggy's opinion, but you see these 2 little ears on this housing? I'll bet you this is meant to just go on hand tight. Why else would those 2 little ears be there? I'm going to give it a little bit extra besides hand tight. The reason is I'm in an awkward position. I'm laying on my side working on the car that's up on ramps, and people who usually do this have it up on a lift and they can get 2 hands on it or just tighten it up better. But I'm going to tighten that up like maybe a 1/4 inch more after I've hit hand tight is right there, and then that's it. Okay, here's our little drain thing, which make sure that O-ring is sitting in there right nice, and wipe all this stuff off, make sure it's all nice and clean before you put it back together. I really like this. There, and that one is also just going to go hand tight and then maybe 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch, just a little bit more than hand tight. Okay, I wiped it really good, and I wiped this over here good so that we can see leaks if there are any. And now we go up top. We are all done right here. I've got my jug, which is 5 quarts, and I'm going to use a funnel, and there's a little piece of metal. It's probably like a splash guard or something in there, so don't pour too fast or you're going to overflow, and then you just have a big mess dripping down your engine, and it'll smell bad until it burns off. So I'm going to use 2 hands to pour this big jug. It's a little heavy, and it's going to just pour it in nice and slow. Just let it balance there a little bit and drip. Okay, there's our number 6 quart. So remember, I think I told you it takes 6.4 according to the owner's manual. So what I'm going to do now is, well, actually, I'm going to check some other fluids. I'm going to check my coolant, and oh heck, let me show you that. Froggy's shining his flashlight down in the water overflow bottle so you can see the level. It's pink on your Lexus, your coolant, and don't do what I just did. When I pulled this cover off, here's the cover, I dropped it down that hole, so I had to go fishing for it. I thought it had a little leash on it, you know what I mean, but it didn't. So anyway, check your coolant. Those are the really important things for you to check on a car, is your oil level and your coolant. Either one of those get too low and you're going to burn up your engine. I'll see if I can show you checking the brake pads. Take a look at your battery, make sure there's not a lot of corrosion on the terminals, and it's probably a low maintenance battery, so I'm not exactly sure. Maybe I'll get back to you when I do a battery service on this, but I want to also look underneath this cover, make sure there's no corrosion there. That looks good. Oh, yeah, let me show you. What else under the hood? These little plastic covers just snap on and off. You may notice some of these little clips, like that one there is missing. Some guy at the Lexus dealership dropped it and lost it or something, so maybe I'll pick up one of those next time. You can probably get them cheaper at the Toyota dealership. There's brake fluid level. It's good. Froggy's using that flashlight trick again. There's windshield washer fluid. I'll top that off. And the transmission is actually sealed on this. There's no way to check the level of fluid in the transmission. It's supposed to be good for a couple 100,000 miles, so we'll see. Just going to put in some windshield washer fluid. I need two hands on this so I don't spill it. Okay, so there you have a little under the hood tour. Windshield washer fluid. Adding oil. Oil dipstick, check level. Coolant, battery, brake fluid, and as I told you, the automatic transmission is sealed. Okay, I'm going to start it up and check for leaks. We are good on leaks, as in we do not have any. Okay, now I'm going to get it off the ramps, put it on a level, and check the oil level. Let's see if I need to add any more. Okay, you want to wipe the stick off and then set it down in there, make sure it goes all the way. There's a little O-ring there, and then pull it out. I've already done this. I'll see if I can show it to you. It's hard to see clean oil on a dipstick, but it's down about a half a quart, so I am going to add some more. Goes right there, down that little tube. And that's my trash truck there in the background. Sorry about the noise. Maybe you could see that. It's about a half a quart low. So I'm just going to top it off so it comes to that top hole, the full hole. You could run it this way, it wouldn't hurt anything, but I like to get it full. A little bit of information on most cars. The top hole and the bottom hole are about 1 quart apart. I said I'd tell you how to check the brake pads, but you can barely see it. I can tell the difference from the rotor and the pad, and I can see that there's plenty of pad left on this, but it's really not even good enough to try and explain to you how to do it. But you can do it if you know what you're looking at. Okay, one final thing, resetting the oil maintenance light, which I apologize, I did it off camera because it's really kind of a crazy complicated thing to do, but I'm going to walk you through it, exactly what I did. First thing you do is, this is a 2012 RX350, it could be different for different model years. Your odometer reset button is right there. See, ODO trip. So you want to set that. There's trip B. There's full odometer. Trip A. You want to set it to trip A, and then you turn the car off. Now I'm going to hold down this button and turn the car not on, all the way on, but just to the second position. So I'm holding it down, and put the camera down for a second. There, 1, 2. You see those blinking lights? That's resetting it. And it goes to 0, and then it goes back to trip A. So that's how you do it on this 2012 RX350. Sorry for a little bit sloppy there on the camera work. but I'm getting the point across. And you can see that the maintenance light is out. Now there's also some maintenance features or maintenance schedule here at the navigation display window. I'm not going to go into that because, well, that's a whole other video to show you how to do stuff there. But mainly I'm just going to, I showed you how to reset the oil maintenance required, and now you're good to go. So if this is helpful to you, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. If you want more from Froggy, you will get it, because I'll be putting up some more videos. I do Corvette, a couple of different kinds of Lexus, I do SUV, Ford SUV, Chevy SUV, and anything else that one of my buddies or friends brings over that they need help with. See you later. Froggy out. Bye-bye.